Sometimes I wonder if the earth breathes, not as a metaphor, not as poetry, but as something real. I felt it before. Lying flat on a stone ridge just before dawn, when the air is thin and motionless, and the ground hums, a deep, slow resonance, like a memory buried in bedrock. It's not a sound, exactly. More like a presence, a rhythm. As if, far beneath our cities and forests and oceans, something ancient is turning, pulsing, alive. But what if one day, it stopped? What if, without warning or noise, the deep engine of our world simply went quiet? You wouldn't notice right away. Not unless you were listening. Not unless you were her, the woman standing alone on the edge of a fault line, hair swept by wind that doesn't know where to go, eyes locked on a horizon that no longer answers. Around her, the earth is still. And in that stillness, something is missing. It's not silence. It's the absence of a voice we never knew we were hearing. This voice, this breath, comes from Earth's core, a molten outer shell of iron and nickel swirling in a slow, chaotic dance around a solid metal heart. That churning movement generates Earth's magnetosphere, an invisible shield that deflects solar winds, guides migrations, shelters DNA from radiation, and holds the atmosphere in place. Without it, life as we know it wouldn't just suffer. It would unravel. Every leaf, every lung, every satellite signal, every sense of direction, they all begin here, in the darkness beneath our feet. Now imagine that core stops moving. No more molten tides, no more planetary dynamo. The shield fades, not in fire, but in quiet collapse, like scaffolding turning to dust, and nothing above it is ready. We lose nothing dramatic at first, just the slow peeling away of safety, the slow erasure of memory. No alarms, no explosions, just a deepening stillness. A planet blinking, disoriented, under a sky that no longer remembers how to protect it. I think about that stillness sometimes, in between the noise of days. I wonder if we've built too much on the illusion of permanence, if we've forgotten that safety is not the default, it's a rare alignment, a gift, and like all gifts, it can vanish. We've always imagined space as silence, a black vacuum, cold and eternal, distant from the warmth of our skin. But the truth is more violent. Beyond our sky rages a storm, a ceaseless bombardment of radiation, solar particles, cosmic debris. The universe is not quiet, it screams. And yet for billions of years we've lived behind glass, unaware. Earth's magnetic field, this fragile, invisible membrane, bends the scream into a whisper. It turns chaos into weather. It weaves a fabric around us, taut, precise, unspoken, a web of protection that holds the world intact. Without that shield, there is no filter, no boundary, no silence, just exposure. The magnetosphere doesn't just block radiation, it shapes the very structure of life. It holds the ozone in place. It sculpts auroras across polar skies. It stabilizes satellites, powers navigation systems, and steers the migration of birds who fly by compass etched into biology. Even the girl I saw once, walking along a windswept plateau with a compass dangling from her wrist like a question, owes her orientation to the deep metal breath of Earth. She didn't know it. None of us do. We think the sky is ours. We think gravity is enough. But the truth is, we are tethered by threads we cannot see. Now imagine those threads unspooling. In just a few centuries, or maybe less, solar wind begins to strip away the upper atmosphere. The ozone thins. Radiation floods the surface, not in bursts, but as a slow floodlight that never switches off. DNA mutates, skin burns, circuits fail, plants wither from invisible exposure. Animals falter in their migrations, their inner maps erased, and in the absence of this unseen net, even time feels less grounded. The earth spins, yes, but nothing is held. Everything becomes untethered. There's something devastating about losing what we never knew we had, like waking to find that the house you slept in had no walls, and never did. Only now do you feel the wind, the dust, the nakedness of exposure. And in that sudden awareness, something shatters. The illusion of control, the comfort of pattern, the quiet trust we place in the ground. This is not the end. Not yet, but it's the loosening of structure. The first thread snapped in a tapestry we didn't know we were wrapped in. There's a kind of blindness we carry, not in our eyes, but in our expectations. We believe that what we do not see cannot hurt us, that what lies beyond the sky is distant, indifferent, too far to matter. But space is not passive. It is not still. It is a sea of invisible violence, waiting for the moment we forget to look. When Earth loses its shield, we begin to see, not through light, but through consequence. Solar storms, once playful auroras flickering at the poles, become fire. Not fire we can touch or see, but a radiation storm, a hail of charged particles colliding with the naked skin of our planet. One flare from the sun, one breath of stellar anger, and power grids collapse. Satellites die mid-orbit. Planes reroute, not because of turbulence, but because the very sky is untrustworthy. I imagine her again, the girl, not in the mountains now, but aboard a polar research vessel, face lit by malfunctioning monitors. Outside, green and crimson lights streak unnaturally across the sky. It's beautiful, yes, but wrong. Like watching a wound fluoresce. The colors mean radiation. The flickering means failure. She steps outside, drawn to the spectacle, and the static in her headset crackles like a warning too late. Without the magnetosphere, solar flares punch through at full force. The Carrington event of 1859, a geomagnetic storm that once set telegraph lines on fire, becomes a weekly occurrence. Only now there's no insulation, no wires to burn, only circuits to erase. Every orbiting satellite becomes a corpse, every radio tower a relic. GPS dies, communication dies, the digital world becomes mute. And it's not just machines, it's us. Our bodies are not built for raw exposure. Radiation doesn't kill instantly, it whispers through cells, rewriting them silently. A mutation here, a fracture there, a quiet war inside the bones. Skin begins to peel not from sunburn, but from starlight. Eyes blur, immune systems falter. There are no screams, only slowness, only the erosion of function, a world quietly forgetting how to be alive. This was always there, the chaos, the fury. We were never separate from it, only sheltered. And now the shelter is gone, the storm hasn't begun. It was simply revealed. The atmosphere is not infinite. It's not even thick. If you could drive straight up in a car, you'd reach the edge of breathable air in less than 10 minutes. That fragile blue halo, the one we see from space, clinging like silk to the earth, is all that stands between us and the void. And without the magnetosphere, it begins to fade. Not with a bang, not like glass shattering, but like breath on a window slowly disappearing. It starts at the edges. The thermosphere, the exosphere, the outer layers begin to unravel first, blown away by solar wind like dust from a ledge. Then the ionosphere thins. Satellites that once skimmed the upper boundary of safety now burn up, or vanish in silence. And beneath it all, the troposphere. Our sky grows weaker. It holds less heat. It retains less moisture. Weather patterns shift into erratic spirals. And the light changes. The sun no longer arrives filtered. Its rays are harsher now. Blunter. They carry something unnatural, something sharp. Shadows grow shorter and more brittle. Skies bleach, and when rain comes, it carries with it a taste of something scorched. The earth once cloaked in invisible care begins to feel raw, exposed, as if its skin had been peeled away. And so we adapt. We try. We build shelters thicker, dig deeper, migrate underground. We invent shields, filters, vaccines, digital suns. But nothing replaces what was. Nothing mimics the elegance of an invisible field shaped by the spinning heart of a planet. It was effortless, silent, and gone. I picture her again, the woman from before, now walking barefoot across a salt flat cracked by radiation and wind. Her feet are wrapped in fabric, her face covered by a visor that filters more than light. She moves slowly, deliberately, the way people move when they remember what was lost. Around her, the sky pulses faintly green, and the ground crunches like glass. Nothing moves, nothing sings. Sometimes I think the earth is forgetting how to breathe. The atmosphere doesn't hum the same. The clouds are thinner, the wind's confused. Even the birds, the few that remain, fly lower, their wings uncertain. It's as if the planet itself is mourning something it can't quite name, as if the memory of its own skin is slipping away. Direction is not just a concept, it's a sense we've inherited, written into our instruments, our migrations, our myths. North meant something, so did stars, so did time. But when Earth's shield dissolves, direction becomes a ghost. The magnetic poles, once anchored, steady, guiding, begin to wander. Then they vanish altogether. Compasses spin drunk, birds spiral out of formation. Whales beach themselves under a sky that no longer speaks in coordinates. Even machines lose their place. The map is there, but nothing on it means what it used to. And it's not just the compass that fails, it's chronology. Solar radiation interferes with atomic clocks, those silent pulses that govern everything from internet synchronization to financial markets. Seconds stretch and snap. GPS falters. planes reroute blindly, cargo ships drift without guidance, and in homes across the world, people look at their phones and see nothing. No signal, no stars, just static. Somewhere in the middle of this, I imagine her again, seated in a dim observatory, alone, her face lit only by a failing console. She adjusts a broken dial, trying to trace the sky's new shape. But the stars have shifted, or maybe the ground has. Outside the dome, the wind sings through steel like a forgotten language. She presses a finger to the glass and whispers names of constellations, as if naming them might keep them from fading. This is what disorientation feels like. It isn't chaos. It's not fire in the streets or crumbling cities. It's the quieter horror of everything familiar coming unmoored, of knowing that the tools we built to understand the world now lie, that the sky is no longer a story, only noise. We forget how many things rely on a magnetic field, not just our technology, but our trust. In seasons, in migrations, in memory. The light that guided us now misleads us. The poles are missing. The lines are gone. The very concept of north is mythology, and still the sun rises, still the earth turns. But something is off. It's like walking through a childhood home and realizing the walls are an inch too far apart. Nothing looks broken, but nothing fits. The logic of the world, once tight as clockwork, is slipping. We are not lost, but we are no longer being found. There's a strange peace in the aftermath of knowing, when the last layer is stripped away. Not violently, but with the slow patience of time, something soft is left behind. Not hope exactly, but awareness. The realization that we were always protected by things we never saw. A reminder that invisibility is not emptiness, it is care, unspoken. Now there is no field, no net curled around the planet, no whisper of metal beneath the surface. And yet, Earth still spins. The oceans still rise and fall. Somewhere, a girl steps barefoot into a shallow sea, glowing faintly from radiation, not with fear but reverence. The sky above her is vast, unfamiliar, but she doesn't look away. Her breath fogs the air. Her shadow stretches toward the horizon, long and defiant. And in that single human gesture, standing upright in a broken system, there's a kind of resilience even a planet can't offer. Maybe this is how we begin again. Not by rebuilding the shield, but by learning to see what it meant. To remember that we were held, not by strength, but by balance. A churning core of liquid iron, humming in darkness, shaping the atmosphere with nothing but motion. And when that motion stopped, it didn't scream. It simply let go, like a hand releasing a thread it had held for too long. We've always been small, but never fragile. We adapt, we reach, we stare into storms and name constellations that change shape. What we lose, we remember. What we remember, we sometimes become. That's the gift, maybe. Not protection, but perspective. Not permanence, but presence. And in that presence, even in a world without a shield, we might find something deeper than safety. We might find understanding. Because in the end, it's not the loss that lingers. It's the silence that follows. The hush where something once was. The shape of an absence. The trace of an embrace. The echo of a shield that held the sky together and the world beneath it. And so I ask, not in fear, but in awe, what else have we never seen? What other shields cradle us now, quiet and unseen, holding back storms we do not yet know exist? What if the next one vanishes?